Today we're going to be building a DIY greenhouse out of 2x4s and polycarbonate on Modern Builds. First, I started by making the walls, and I spaced out all of my studs 16 inches mostly. Anywhere that I had to make a door or some custom shelving, I did make adjustments. This project was my first time doing a shed or a structure like this, and for some reason I decided to assemble it in my workshop. That way I knew it was going together really square. Once I knew it was, I moved on to assembling the rafters for the roof. I made these A-frames and then I connected them together with some more 2x4 spacers, and this created the whole roof structure and also the horizontal slats that the polycarbonate panels will attach to. You could assemble this with an impact driver or a drill just like I did earlier, but because I was doing this myself and I didn't really have an extra pair of hands, I used a pneumatic nailer, and this was really easy. Assembling this whole thing in sections made it more manageable for me, even though assembling it in place probably would have been easiest. These polycarbonate panels cut really easily with the circular saw, and after I cut them to length, I installed them using these roofing screws that have a rubber gasket that allow them to be waterproof even though they sink through the material. And they say that it's best to install these on the high side of the ridges. Just make sure that you don't over tighten them because that will cause the polycarbonate to dent or crease. After flattening out a site with the Bobcat, we laid down some concrete pavers to make sure that everything was going to set really level. And after our corner blocks were set, I got some help moving this frame into place. The most difficult part was putting the roof up, but still, with a little bit of effort, we were able to get it where it needed to go. And now, it's time to build out the custom shelving on the inside of this greenhouse that's going to make it super useful. I started by cutting a bunch of 1x4s that are going to start the cleats or the shelves that are going to wrap around the inside of the greenhouse. I spaced these out every couple of feet. Once the perimeter of the greenhouse was wrapped in 1x4s, I grabbed some 2x4s and I used these to create a more sturdy ledge on the inside edge of each of the shelves. Connecting all of this together started making this whole assembly super heavy duty. I noticed that everything stopped racking and shaking as I was working the more I attached boards together. And now it's time to install the rest of the polycarbonate around this greenhouse. Now I had an 8-foot tall greenhouse and 12-foot tall panels, so I cut them in half, which left me with 6-foot long polycarbonate sheets, and this left a 2-inch gap that we're gonna cover with white polycarbonate for a pop of, well, not color, but a cool contrast. I built and installed my door after everything else was attached, knowing that everything wouldn't be perfect. This let me get a really good fit and install everything to the right dimensions. Thanks, Dad, for the help here. The rest of the polycarbonate went together with the same steps, but I did have to create an angle on the tops of a lot of the panels to accommodate the A-frame on the front and the back of the greenhouse. This wasn't too complicated, I just made sure that I measured twice and cut once. And here you see me installing that white polycarbonate strip along the bottom 2 feet of the greenhouse that I mentioned earlier. I cut a white ridge cap out of more of the plastic PVC corrugated material. This is flexible enough that it worked, and then I backfilled around the greenhouse with some soil and staged it up. And I've got to say, I love the way this project came out. If you're interested in more DIYs like these, be sure to follow me, Modern Builds. This project was a gift from my mom who loves gardening and is super special to me. So thanks a ton for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.